Welcome back to my speaker matching channel. So this is part 3. I've been comparing my latest and greatest, and that is the EV on the left, EV12, and the previous purchase, the EV8 on the right. So go back and watch part 1 and part 2. Part 1, I compare the two just spec-wise and features. And part 2, we talk about adding a subwoofer, how much of a difference that makes. And now part 3 is what I promised, a sound demo to see the actual sound difference. So we're dealing with an 8-inch woofer on the EV8. We're dealing with a 12-inch on the EV12. That's where they get the name from. And the tweeters are different. The EV8 is a dome tweeter, and the new 12 is a compression driver. The amps are the same, but because of the compression driver, I believe that's where they're getting the extra volume. Also, you have larger cabinet size in the 12 that affects mids and bass. So let's get to the sound demo. You see some speakers in the background here. Those are not on, just the 2 speakers in question, the EVs. What I've done is using a non-copyrighted track. It's not the best track, but it does show some bass and high end. And what I've done is I spent time, I have everything flat on both speakers, and then I spent some time level matching, which is very important, because when you hear a louder speaker, your ear tells your brain it's a better speaker, which isn't necessarily the case. So I've level matched both speakers about 90 dB. That's a good volume, not too high. You don't want to get something in the high hundreds because then your ear gets fatigued and you can't even listen very long and really pick out details of differences. You don't want to play too soft, then your ear is struggling. So I've read 85 is what professional mixers and producers use. So I've upped it a little to about 90, a little higher than 90 here, because I'm in a large family room. So let's get on to the sound demo. So let's talk about the procedure. So there's my little dB meter. I've set both speakers to the same gain or volume, which is a little more than 90 dB. What I've done is the EV8 is on one channel and the EV12 on another channel. So what I'm going to be doing is playing the EV8, and then I'm going to bring up on channel 15, 16 right there. I'm going to bring up the fader. So when I bring up this fader on channel 15, 16, when I bring it up to unity, that's the EV12 kicking in. When it's at unity, then they're both speakers are at the same gain. Okay. When I bring it down, I'm effectively muting the 12, and you're only going to be listening to the 8. So I'm going to be going back and forth, EV12 on, EV12 off, just the EV8. So let's hear how that sounds. That's going to be our procedure. We're going to start the track with the EV12 off. That's why the fader is at the bottom. Ignore the mute button. That I'm not going to be using that on channel 15 and 16. Okay, here we go. EV12 off, EV8 on, and we'll bring that EV12 in and out to see the difference of the sound quality of that new speaker. Did you hear what I heard? I'm still trying to wipe the smile off my face. It's beautiful. I'm very impressed by that EV12. So we're going to do the opposite test. We're going to play the same track. This time I'm going to play the EV12 and bring up the EV8, and we'll see if that adds anything to the mix, good or bad. So here we go. Again, the EV12 will be the main speaker on, and the fader will be the EV8 coming in and out. Let's give it a try. So the EV8 is not on a fader, it's on a dial. So it's right here, which is monitor 1. So when I bring it up to unity, that's the EV8 at the same gain level that I matched the EV12. So I'll be muting it by turning it down to 0, and then when I bring it to unity, EV8 is on full. Okay, here we go, same track. Forgot to mention, the EV8 will start muted when I start the track, and then we'll bring in the EV8. Here we go. Well, that was a short test because there was no reason to keep going. I didn't hear with my ears. I remember when I hear right here in front of the speakers might be different than you hear through the YouTube mic. So I didn't hear any difference. I did hear a little volume boost, which is normal. Anytime you add a second speaker, you're going to get a couple of dB boost. But as far as tone, I heard nothing. So what that's telling me is the EV12 is so good. It's just the EV8 isn't going to add anything as far as sound quality if you're already using the EV12. The other way around, that's a different story. I hope you heard that. But I do want to emphasize, I have done some testing. I won't show you on the video though, but I have separated the speakers where the EV8 is far to the right, maybe 15 feet across, and then the EV12 on the left. And they're both playing in mono. I'm not using them as a stereo pair. They both have the same signal going through it. But when you play it like that, then you do have a nice sonic difference because the ear is fooled into hearing a stereo image. Even though it's not stereo, it's still, you hear sound coming from the right and left. So the ear is fooled into, you're getting a stereo sound field. So it's definitely worthwhile if you have an EV8 not to sell it. Use it as a fill speaker. Use it as a monitor. So, and plus, since you have this wonderful EV app, you can bring up the EV8 with the gain control, the Bluetooth gain control, and you can make it louder or lower and really blend it really nicely with the EV12. It's a lot of fun playing with it, and you get some really better tone. I can add some, and of course, using your EQ, you can EQ the EV8 a little different. What I've done is I've boosted the highs a little on the EV8 since the EV12 is so nice on those full mids and bass. I'm using the EV8. It's kind of like a super tweeter, and I'll use that Bluetooth app to bring in the EV8 and add some high end to the mix. Really interesting, kind of fun, and you can do a lot with it. So I suggest keep both. If you have the EV8 or 8, don't sell it to get the EV12. Keep both. And to tell you the truth, I don't really see, unless you're a DJ, I don't see any reason to get 2 EV12s unless you need that maximum volume or DJ purposes. They want symmetrical speakers that look good for their customers. Okay, so that's it. I hope you enjoyed this sound demo. I heard a huge difference. I'm very impressed with the EV12. I'll say it again. I said this in part 1 and part 2. You got a big speaker. It's heavy. It's expensive. But if you're willing to spend the money, it's a step up from the EV8. sound-wise, sonic-wise. It adds fullness. It adds considerable bass. As far as using a subwoofer, I think once you use a sub at normal volumes, I think the EV8 over a sub, you really probably don't need the 12, because then you're going to lose. You don't need the extra volume and of the box or the low end, because the sub would be handling that. On the flip side of that, if you just want one speaker and you're looking for the best sound, then the EV12's is the way to go, because it's really full range. You have that bass, you have that hi-fi like mids, full solid mids, that when you AB over to the EV8, you lose. It comes down to physics. Smaller speaker, smaller box. Okay, this is Bill. Hope you enjoyed. Later.